Yes, people. Welcome to Twin Visions. Hope everyone had a good Christmas period, and wishing everyone all the best for the new year, 2026. Hope everyone stays blessed, prosperous, reaches all their goals, stays healthy, and all that good stuff. Yeah, do you know what I want? What I wanted to talk about today? Yeah, is the 9 to 5 trap. Yeah, and how important it is to kind of have an exit plan if that's what you if do you know, not obviously not everyone, some people are kind of happy being in that, being in the 9 to 5 system, and do you know what I mean, clocking in, and do you know what I mean, just kind of cracking on with their monthly wage slip and all that. But there is people that is kind of is not content with that lifestyle and not happy being a, for want of a better word, a slave to the system. Do you understand what I mean? And yeah, so I think it is really important to kind of have some exit plan, whether it's trying to start your own business, whether it's trying to kind of create some passive income. But it is very important to kind of intentionally push to kind of get that going. Do you know what I mean? Reach them if that's your targets, to reach them, because it is what I'm realizing is that it is such a hard thing. It's easy to be entrapped into that system. It's so easy that before you know it, like especially like, so for example, for someone like me, who my whole intention of getting into the 9 to 5 was just literally to gain some experience in my trade. Do you understand what I mean? I got into it late. I think everyone who's been on this channel for before knows my history. Do you know what I mean? I used to be into a lot of illegal activities, and I changed my life. But obviously, when you kind of come from, well, my experience in like, let's say, the illegal lifestyle, you have some kind of financial freedom, and you are your own boss in my, from my experience. Do you understand what I mean? So having to make that transformation into the 9 to 5 system, it is a lot, but also it's kind of, when you think of it, it's gonna, when you kind of looking at it as a temporary, as just a temporary situation, you kind of it's not, we don't seem a bigger deal. But as the longer you're in it, you realize, hold on, now you start to feel how easy it is to get entrapped into that lifestyle. Do you understand what I mean? And that's when it dawned on me, like, wow, like, especially when you, do you know what I mean? Especially, and when you start to spend time with a lot of people that obviously that just left school or college and went straight into a 9 to 5, how their lifestyles is kind of, it's no, debt's normalized. So a lot of people's in debt, and do you know what I mean? They're kind of used to being in debt. They're used to kind of constantly paying off this and paying off that, living in their overdraft, maxing out their credit cards. Do you know what I mean? It is, to me, I think, wow. And then also you get used to, you become reliant on that monthly wage slip. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, especially like, so as it comes, it's accounted for. It goes, so it goes on finance, it goes on mortgage or rent or this or that. So before you know it, even if you do aspire to do other things, it's like you're in the system. You can't get out, because you can't create that financial freedom to make that step. Do you understand what I mean? And it's like me being in now, because obviously I initially got into it just to get some skill, to learn my trade, and then my goal is to try and create some passive income or start my own business. But it's like now I'm seeing, hold on, I can understand now how people get trapped into the system, because the thing is, what a lot of people are unaware of is like, you do become a slave to the system. It is like modern day slavery. So you become, it's like you have to, because you've got all this debt over your head, because you've got debts that need to be paid for, because you've got a mortgage that needs to be paid for, you can't afford to take any days off. You haven't got the, you can't afford to focus on another business or focus on, do you know what I mean, trying to create some passive income, because you've got so much on your shoulders that you constantly have to be putting back into the system, and that's what they want. They want you to so they want you to be in a position where you have to get up and go to work. You have to get up and go to work every day. Do you know what I mean? Or if you don't, then your debts are going to become more. You're going to be in arrears. You ain't going to be able to make your car payments. So, to me, that's what to me, it's about, it's so important to have an exit plan. So, do you know what I mean? And also to live in your means, not beyond your means. Because if you're living beyond your means, then how are you gonna, do you know, how are you gonna escape the rat race? How are you gonna escape the 9 to 5 system? Do you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, obviously there's people that are in it that make it work. Do you know what I mean? So there's people, if you are kind of able to save and able to, you've got a bit of financial freedom where you can, you know what I mean, you're making what you're making, you can work with, you can maintain your lifestyle and invest in other things or look after other things, or do you know what I mean, then that's fine. But a lot of people are trapped in a way where they're in debt, they can't, it's like they can't breathe. Do you know what I mean? They can't, it's like, yeah, it's like they're chained to the system. So I think it is important to have an exit plan, whether it's saving, whether it's investing in yourself, whether it's trying to create some passive income, but you have to be looking for a way out. Do you know what I mean? An alternative. And the thing is as well, because you might think you're okay with it now, but you don't know how, as you get older, you don't know how your body's gonna feel, how you're gonna feel mentally. Do you know what I mean? So, do you know what I mean? As you, because me, even me being in construction, I see a lot of older people that should be kind of retired or are close to retirement, are still having to slug it out and work, and they don't want to be there. Do you know what I mean? But because of their financial situation, they have to clock in. Do you know what I mean? They have to turn up every day. Some of them might have long-term injuries, but they have to soldier through. Do you know what I mean? And I think we have to be aware that if that's not what you want, then you have to be actively looking for a way out of the 9 to 5 trap. Do you know what I mean? Because yeah, the system's created on where they want to normalize being in debt, and do you know what I mean? And I think it's dangerous. And I weren't aware of these things before. And I think and that's why in a way I'm kind of thankful for my lifestyle before. As much as obviously it was illegal and I could have, obviously you risk your freedom, whatever, but it makes you understand that there's more to it than just being trapped in a system. Do you know what I mean? In the 9 to 5 system. Do you understand what I mean? And as well, I understand why people do go down that route, because do you know what I mean? With the 9 to 5 system, you're kind of, especially when you're clocking in, you're working under someone's time, and also you're limited to what you can make. Where when you're doing illegal activities, it's like there's no roof. Like, you know, one day you might make this, one day you might make that, depending on how busy you are. And I suppose that's not just illegal, that's working for yourself, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I just think we just gotta be mindful. We gotta be mindful of what we want and how we're gonna reach there. Do you know what I mean? Because again, especially when you've got to clock in, it's like, for me, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that feel the same way as me, is that sometimes you don't feel like, especially when you're clocking in, you're dancing to someone's beat, so sometimes you don't want to have to be brown nosing or kissing up to people or laughing at people's jokes, or you just want to just crack on. And even sometimes, especially in construction, if you're clocking in, even if you get there, you might be able to complete your work by 12 o'clock, but you can't go nowhere till 5 o'clock. So you're just there twiddling your thumbs. Where if you control the narrative and control your time, as you do what you got to do, then your time's yours. Do you understand what I mean? So I think it is very important to be thinking of an exit plan and actively pursuing it, actively saying, okay, you know what, this is my plan. I'm gonna tuck away this. I'm gonna tuck away that. Do you know what I mean? And even it can get hard when you've got responsibilities like mortgages and rent and whatever. But that's why it's important to live in your means, and also don't take on too much. So if you know, okay, for example, you're taking on a mortgage and you know you're going to be paying, let's say 2.5 2 grand a month, and you know literally after it's going to be a struggle to make that, then you got to be thinking about, okay, what else am I going to do? Am I going to invest in myself? Or am I going to try and learn more? Am I going to try and increase invest in myself to be able to increase my income? Am I going to try and create some passive income? But you have to be pushing for that, because as time pushes on, it'll wear you down. Do you know what I mean? And this is why I think mental health's the issue, because a lot of people suffer from anxiety, a lot of people suffer from depression, because sometimes it's like you might be okay with it at one point, but then you might think something, you wake up and think, oh gosh, I got all this debt over my head, or you can't see a way out of your situation you're in. Do you understand what I mean? So yeah, man, it's very important, man. It's very important to kind of just not become a slave to the system. Do you know what I mean? And again, that's not saying that if you work a 9 to 5, automatically you're a slave. Because if you're in a position, like for example now, I don't have to, like, I don't have to be in if I don't want to. And that's the, so you're only a slave if you're living paycheck to paycheck. So if you don't work, if you don't eat. Do you know what I mean? You can't keep a roof over your head. So if you've kind of got some finances behind you, then do you know what, you can see that changes everything mentally. Like, that's a big deal, because you haven't got that pressure. So you know that when you go in, you can take it or leave it. Do you understand what I mean? So if someone's rubbing you up the wrong way, you can say, you know what, I'm see you later. I'm out of here. Do you understand what I mean? Where if your back's against the wall, then you have to put up with everything. You have to, even if you're feeling rough, you got to get up and go. Do you know what I mean? Where now, and that's why for me, it's so important to kind of have something behind you. So if you say to yourself, like, look, now just Christmas period's just finished, and I thought to myself, you know what, I'm gonna chill out for a few weeks. I'm gonna just relax and kind of, because I need time to think about, because I've got other things I want to do. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be work under someone's clock constantly. Yeah, it's great. I got the experience I got into the industry later. I'm getting experience, and I'm able to make an income, but it's still not. I'm not where I need to be. So I kind of need to create some time to think. Okay, how am I gonna go about this, and what else do I need to do, and what other studying have I got to do? So do you know what? I'm gonna take another 3-4 weeks off. Do you know, just to kind of plan. And we have to be able to do stuff like that. Do you understand what I mean? We can't normalize being in untold debt. Do you know what I mean? We can't normalize living paycheck to paycheck, because then we are just modern day slaves. So the key is, have an exit plan, create an exit plan, go through your finances. Do you understand what I mean? Because even now, especially nowadays, I had to do it the other day. The amount of subscriptions that I'm paying for that I don't even use. Do you understand what I mean? Gym memberships. If you're not going gym, obviously gym is a positive thing because you want to stay healthy. But if you ain't going, you ain't going. And if you're paying, because gym is expensive nowadays. Do you know what I mean? If you're paying £100 a month and you're not going, you might just go and join Pure Gym and pay £20 a month. Because if you don't go, at least you can save on 80 quid. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, man, that's just it, man. It's just something like, again, I was just thinking the other day, yeah, man, I gotta be careful, because you got to constantly be intentionally trying to get out of the 9 to 5, because you can just become complacent. Do you know what I mean? You can just get used to your wage packet, your monthly wage. Okay, that covers the mortgage, comes out, the rent comes out, my finance comes out, this comes out, your phone bill comes out, your life insurance, gym membership, whatever. Then, do you know what I mean? Then what? And then you're kind of left with an XYZ amount, and that's just enough to cover your gas bills, whatever. Nah, you can't, because again, you might be alright with it now, but you're constantly having to clock in. Do you know what I mean? But then one day you might think, you know what, I'm fed up of this. So you have to have some control of what you have to do. You have to have some control where, you know what, because we're not make a man has to have purpose, and work is purpose. So a man is supposed to be working, creating, but mentally you don't want to have to be doing it for under someone else's clock when you don't want to. You have to be able to, you know what, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Okay, you know what, I'm gonna take 2 days off. I want to do the school run. Do you know what I mean? I want to drop my kids to school. I want to pick them up. Do you get what I mean? It makes a big difference mentally, and this is why a lot of people suffer from anxiety and depression, because they haven't got that not luxury, but they're not able to do things like that. Do you understand what I mean? And then the pressure leads people to other things. So people might feel need to drink every day. Do you know what I mean? After a day, they need a beer to take the edge off it, or a glass of wine, and then your health starts to deteriorate. Do you know what I mean? And then even with stuff like that, like it might make you feel good then, but eventually it's gonna start make you feel groggy, and it's gonna make you feel worse, even more. Like if you're more like them things, they bring you up, but then they bring you right down. So yeah. So not to get sidetracked, but yeah, man, it's just very important. It's very important that if you want more than being trapped into 9 to 5 system, you have to be planning an exit route. You have to be actively pushing towards it. Sit down, figure out, all right, how you're gonna do it. Whether you need to be saving, whether you even I'll be honest with you. If you know that you can create work, and that even if you take a loan, if you want to push a business, do you know what I mean? Or even if it takes, because there's no, even if you say, you know what, if you're saying in your 30s or your 40s, and you say, all right, then do you know what, in 10-15 years I wanna be able to relax. I want to be able to take my foot off the pedal a bit. So even if you know, okay, you can say, all right, then I've got £100 a month that I can invest in something. But there has to be something. You have to be actively having planning for some kind of financial, I don't want to say freedom, but some financial like relaxations where you haven't got to be, you're not living paycheck to paycheck. You're not as it comes, it goes. Do you know what I mean? You're not constantly trying to pay off credit card bills, and unless you can, if you're organized. If you know, okay, you know, I've got XYZ coming, I can pay it off within a couple months, whatever, then that's fine. Do you know what I mean? Because there's people that know how to manage their credit cards and the debt they take on. But if you're taking on debt that's sinking you, that's swallowing you up, then it's worth actively trying to get out of it. And like I said, even if that means living in your means, because like I said, a lot of us now, it's normalized to live above our means. They make, and this is the thing, how they get you trapped in the system as well, they make everything accessible. So they make it easy for you to get a car that probably you shouldn't be driving. And I don't want to say shouldn't be, but like, for example, years ago, if someone had a Mercedes, you knew that they had money. Do you know what I mean? But now someone can have a Mercedes and you know they can't really afford it. Do you know what I mean? They make everything accessible because they want you to be a slave to the system. That's why they do all this balloon, like part lease, part finance. So you're constantly trapped into that system. You don't never pay off the car. Do you know what I mean? You pay off some of it, then when it comes time after 3 year or whatever the policy is, they'll say, okay, we can either pay 10 grand or we give you another car, you start again, and the people just start again. So you never actually own a vehicle. Do you understand what I mean? And these are the things they normalize. So everyone looks like they're doing well, but they're not, and that's why you can't tell who's got it and who ain't got it nowadays. Do you understand what I mean? So it's just, but then how long can you do that for? Because that's unless you like. But again, if you're doing it and you're pushing business, you're still trying to increase your income, then that's fine. But if you're kind of you've hit your ceiling with what you can make with your income, how much income you can earn, and you're constantly in debt and constantly robbing Peter to people, then at some point it's gonna bust. Do you understand what I mean? So yeah, man, it's just, and again, I'm not talking like I'm holier than thou or better than anyone. I'm talking about my experiences as well. So I'm just, for me, that's someone that's still trying to build and create passive income, and do you know what I mean? I'm looking like, wow, because of my surroundings in construction, I'm looking like, wow, I understand how people get trapped into this lifestyle, and it's dangerous because I'm not happy to be like that. And that's why I actively have to do things to try and push out of it. So I actively have to invest in myself and try and increase my skills. I actively have to try and create different passive incomes. I actively have to take time out to say, you know what, let me take time out to try and figure things out, because me being trapped into that 9 to 5 lifestyle, I am not getting the time to kind of do the things I want to do. I'm not able to sit down and say, okay, where am I going with, for example, this podcast thing? Where am I going with, for example, starting my own heating company? Where am I going with what I want to invest in? Do you understand what I mean? So you need that time to think. You need that time to plan. Do you understand what I mean? And when you're constantly bam, bam, clocking in, working, clocking, coming home, especially when you got a family, you're coming in, you spend time with your family, then the weekend you just want to chill out, you just want to relax your mind, you're not able to make that time to plan. Obviously some people can, and especially as you get older, you do maybe get a bit more tired and you slow down a bit, so you have to create things where you're not totally under pressure, where you can't create time for yourself to think and plan and think, okay, what's my next move? And do you understand what I mean? So yeah, man. But yeah, so big up everyone, man, and everyone who's trying to pursue something and try, especially in the new year, then good luck to you and just keep pushing, man. All right, one love, peace.